We read in this week's Torah portion that although Moses will never step into Eretz Yisrael, he will climb a mountaintop and from those heights overlooking the Jordan, encounter the expanse of that sacred land, north, south, east, and west. It is an evocative reminder that physical distance does not determine feelings of closeness or the strength of a bond. Ask any nervous Jewish mother whose children are overseas, and they will say this is true. Yes? Yes. I first met Rabbi Gabby Dagan when my then 14-year-old daughter traveled as part of an adult delegation to his congregation in Haifa. He created home for her there, and a few years later, for my younger daughter as well. He became one of their beloved rabbis, and they shared him with me as my dear friend. Rabbi Dagan meets people where they are, no matter the difference in background, knowledge, practice, or politics. When you engage with Rabbi Dagan, you emerge feeling closer to him and closer to Judaism. He is a bridge builder, and I urge you, when you travel to Israel, visit him and his congregation in Haifa, arguably Israel's most diverse city. You will cover so much ground without ever leaving the district. Among Rabbi Dagan's many extraordinary gifts is his ability to bravely traverse great distances while always maintaining connection. Rabbi Dagan grew up in Israel as part of a Moroccan-Iranian Orthodox family, then studied in an Ashkenazi yeshiva. After serving in the IDF as a religious affairs officer, he turned from the Talmud toward academic studies, earning both a bachelor's and a master's degree from Haifa University. As he widened his world, he discovered Reform Judaism, and how blessed we are that he found his calling as one of our most committed and soulful rabbis. Rabbi Dagan represents a relatively small but powerful growing force in Israel, one that we are committed to nourishing. Despite the miles separating us, Temple Emanu-El maintains a strong bond with our homeland, especially through our steady and solid support of its reform and liberal congregations and institutions. This includes our support of the IMPJ, which strengthens reform kibbutzim, schools, congregations, the Jerusalem campus of HUC-JIR, which trains religious and educational leaders, and the Israel Religious Action Center, securing civil rights for all. This is a priority for us because these rabbis, cantors, organizational leaders, and communities provide thousands of Israelis, often pulled and pushed between orthodoxy and secularism, with a place of belonging in our tradition. Believe it or not, sometimes it's hard to find that in Israel. And they do that while fighting for resources, recognition, and respect. They are prophets and heroes, especially at this perilous time when reform ideology and liberal values are under attack. And Rabbi Dagan is one of the greats. Gabby, you are always in my heart wherever you are, but there's nothing like having you by my side. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our Temple Emanu-El family. Thank you so much for just 2 days ago rearranging your plans so you could be here with us tonight. We are so blessed to have you here with us now in your entirety. Rabbi Gabby Dagan.
That was a big introduction. ליבי במזרח ואנוכי בסוף מערב. My heart is in the east, and I'm standing here at the edge of the west. I'm standing really far from where I grew up, as Rabbi Rhinus Sarah referred to. I grew up in a very small town in the north of Israel. My parents came from what we say Edot HaMizrach, Sephardic Jews. And we practice Judaism that I refer to as Judaism as we are allowed. I was allowed to make mistakes. I was allowed to choose from one act to another. My parents never judged me. My mother used to sit up on the bima, on the mechitza, the second floor of the synagogue, and she used to be the queen of the synagogue. If someone from the main sanctuary used to call up and just shush her, she used to take off her shoe, throw it down on him, and tell him one more time, and I'm coming down to beat the crap out of you. That was my mom. I never thought there was something wrong with our Jewish practices and Jewish life. Only when I went to my yeshiva, only when I went to my Ashkenazi yeshiva, and I was exposed to a different kind of Judaism. Judaism of, you're not allowed. This is forbidden. It was strict. It was different. I was judged because of what I did. This first encounter in my life allowed me to see and to experience two kinds of Judaism that I did not know exists. That story exists today, and it's a major part of explaining of what's happening today in Israel. The second encounter that I had was as I served as an Orthodox rabbi in the army, as a chaplain. As a chaplain, I used to give and provide cultural, religious, halachic experiences to all soldiers. I took care of the holidays. I was a chazan, shaliach tzibur. In times of war, I had a different role. I had to be there for our dead soldiers, picking them up, identifying them, and sending them back to their families. At the Second Lebanon War, 2006, as I was serving in the Lebanon frontier, I was then a little bit different from when I was as a student in my yeshiva. And when I was there, I encountered the other rabbis. As one soldier needed to be identified and sent back to his parents and to his family, and not let them sit and wait for his future, his destiny. And I had a big argument. It was an halachic argument versus a humane one. I lost. We had to keep that soldier and to explore his identity, although everybody knew who he was. And that encounter left me wounded. The conversation within the Israeli IDF between our humane values, the value of life, and halachic values are what we see also in what's happening in Israel today. Everything plays out in what we experience today in the big protest and the changes that Israel is going through. When I went to rabbinical school, to HUC, I went to my mom and I said, "Mom, I'm going to become a Reform rabbi." She laughed. She said, it's a phase. You'll get over it. Mom, this is serious. So what? You're going to dance with women holding Torah, wearing kippah? Are you going to drive to synagogue on Shabbat? She asked me. I said, Mom, it's not important. What's important that we can do, make Judaism something meaningful and important to other people. She couldn't comprehend that. She could not understand. And she asked me, in this really deep pain, where did you get that from? How did you get that far? And I looked at her and I said, Mom, it's you. What do you mean? Well, you taught me to love other people. You taught me to hold the Judaism that I'm allowed to hold. You taught me to be kind. These are the values that I'm about to practice. It doesn't matter if I drive to synagogue on Shabbat. She died shortly before I had the opportunity to invite her to my ordination. So this is the third encounter, growing up in the periphery of Israel and entering the great space of liberalism and Jewish pluralism in Israel. These 3 stops in my life represents a lot of what's happening in Israel. As a child, I fought for the Likud party. I was standing in crossroad and handing pamphlets to support Likud party because as a Mizrahi Jew, as a Sephardic Jew, we wanted that change. We needed something that is better for us because we were the periphery. We were the unseen people. And that movement back then gave birth to what we know now as Shas. The Sephardic Jews took that to the extreme, and we see how Orthodoxy and how Sephardic Judaism is being held hostage. And Sephardic Judaism today is a Judaism of you are forbidden, as we see it today, which represents one of the most deepest fractures in Israel today between Orthodox Jews and liberal Jews. Nobody should take and own Judaism to itself. It's for all of us to share, but not everybody see it the same way. The army was the one thing in Israel that you could not argue about. It was a place everybody agrees on. This is our survival. It's the melting pot of Israel. It doesn't matter where you come from. The army is holy. It's kadosh. This has been fractured now again. As thousands of people in a reserve do not want to serve what they don't believe is happening or representing their values. And the polarization of values, as my mom felt as I told her that I'm going to become a Reform rabbi, is now turned into hatred. Not just disappointment, but deep hatred towards each other. And the half of Israel seek to control through judicial systems. They want to control Jewish life. They want to hand out our Jewish values into one side of that equation, but it doesn't work like that. And that's what's happening in Israel. One half stand for Orthodox, halachic rules, and one half stand for democracy and liberalism and freedom. Breaks our heart to be in that position. It breaks our heart to see that happening. But we shouldn't be discouraged. I'm not here to portray only negative picture of what's happening in Israel. I'm here because I do believe I'm a bridge amongst all streams of Judaism. I came from every single place that protesters are standing, from that side and from that side. This week's portion, Vayetchanan, reads, and he said to Moses, as you said, Rabbi, go up to the summit and gaze upon west, north, south, east. And in the Haftarah, we read, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort, oh comfort my people. And there's a verse, ascend a lofty mountain, O herald of joy to Zion. Se'i enaich mevaseret Zion. This is not a sprint that Israel is going through, although this is the deepest crisis we ever had. This is a marathon. And our comfort, our nachamu, nachamu ami, is our ability to soar up high and see the bigger picture. It's our responsibility to provide hope, because what is happening in Israel right now, at the same time that our system is being broken, and we see this huge movement of solidarity. We see hundreds of thousands of people who were numbed for decades in Israel, going out to the street, embracing the values that all of you embrace. Rallies in New York, in Los Angeles, in Europe, throughout the world, defending Israel. This is where Jewish time is coming together, our past, our present, as we look into our future. And what is our role? What is your role? What is our role? It's not just about saying, I support Israel. It's not just about coming to synagogue or reading the news or listening to the radio or watching television and getting the updates. It's about being proactive, and there are many ways to be proactive. Temple Emanu-El have been doing that for decades. One of our congregants is Anat Hoffman. She's the head of the IRAC, of the Israeli Reform Action Center. And she keeps talking all the time at our temple about Temple Emanu-El and how meaningful your temple is in changing Israel, not just now, but for many, many, many years. What I would encourage you to do on this night, as a starter, pick up the phone. Think that you are now in the 90s. No text messages, no emails. Just go back in time for a split of a second. Pick up the phone. Think about your favorite Israeli. You know what? Even if it's not your favorite Israeli, think about a Israeli that you know. Pick up the phone. Let them know you are not alone. We are in this together. So tonight, all of our hearts are in the East, as all of us are sitting here today at the edge of the West. Thank you so much for inviting me here tonight and allowing me to speak over the bima. And I truly hope what I offer tonight will be words of comfort and of hope to all of us. Amen.